Let's turn now to the other communication strategy for harnessing the power of difference, building trusting relationships. This is the very heart of what makes these conversations about identities and differences work or not. Let's start by taking a step back to examine what's going on in our brains as we talk with each other about differences. Here's our cone in the box diagram where person A and person B are seeing things differently. Now, deep inside their brains is a structure called the amygdala that is constantly scanning incoming data for any sign of threat or danger. If it senses that there's some danger, then it activates the reptilian brain. This is a part of our brain that's old from an evolutionary point of view. We have it in common with the reptiles. That's why it's called the reptilian brain. And that's where fight or flight lives. That's where the fight or flight response happens. And you know how well you think when your fight or flight response is activated. Not very well. It's very reactive, very automatic, very emotional, not clear thinking, not the part of somebody's brain you'd want to talk to. So on the other hand, if the amygdala doesn't sense any threat, if everything seems okay, then the incoming data is routed up to the frontal cortex, which from an evolutionary perspective is the most modern and sophisticated part of our brain. That's where our analytic capacity resides. That's where our metaphorical, creative, lateral thinking capacities reside. So that's the part of the brain that we want to be talking to. So the core issue here is whether these differences are perceived as a threat, or more precisely, if A and B are perceiving each other as threats. So we can learn to be more aware of how we're activating each other's parts of the brain, which parts of the brain we want to be talking to, and be more intentional about how we do that. So let's look at some skills for making that happen. This table shows example of relationship statements, short phrases you can use to make it explicitly clear to the other person that you value them, that your relationship with them is important. They fall into 6 categories: statements about partnership, empathy, acknowledgement, respect, legitimation, support. And so they form the acronym PEARLS. So you can give someone a pearl. Examples of partnership statements are, we'll see this through together. I want to work with you on this. The idea that you're going to do this together, anything with the word together in it is a kind of a pearl. Empathy is your best effort to name the emotion that you think that they might be feeling, to show them that you understand, not just to say, I understand you, but to show it. And like we saw before with reflective listening, even if you don't get it quite right, it doesn't matter. You're making the effort, and they can correct your understanding, but they see that you're trying to understand them, and that is valuable. So examples of empathy, it sounds like that was really frustrating for you, or I can feel your excitement as you talk. Acknowledgement is a kind of praise for something somebody has done or accomplished. You worked really hard on that, or you communicated those plans very effectively. Respect goes more to the person, to their qualities. I appreciate your dedication to this work, or you have a real knack for grasping the big picture. Legitimation builds on empathy. It's saying that whatever that feeling is that you've named in empathy, well, it's only natural that they'd be experiencing that. It's not a problem. So anyone would find this situation stressful. How could you not be upset after you worked so hard on that? That's legitimation. Statements of support kind of go one beyond partnership, saying that you want to help them, you want to support them. So I'm here to help you. I want to see you succeed with this. You see how these are very short phrases, but they make it absolutely explicit that you care about them and that you want to be their friend, their ally, that you're not a threat, but you're in this together. The one thing that's really important is that if you say a pearl, you need to really mean it. People will detect an inauthentic pearl, and that will actually undermine the relationship. So if you really can't think of any authentic pearl to say, it's better not to say it. But most of the time, you can think of something. So thinking back to the cone in the box and people with these differences, we don't want the differences to be seen as a threat. We want to be making a relational basket. We care about each other. We're in this together. We're good with each other. And that creates the space that can hold or contain our differences so that we can talk about them and have them be the resource that they are.